Okay, here we go. Move the shop back to the other end of the shop here. Try to quiet it down. We've got the microphone all set up here. We'll see how this works out. It seems like the last video I did with the microphone worked out pretty good. The noise was down. So we've got our Dremel 4000 set up. With what do we have in it? We have the flame burr. So with further ado, let's start cutting into this guy and see where we get. I'll go turn the shop back on and here we go. Grinch, Grinch, it's time for Grinch. Grinch! Shut up, Grinch. Alright, here we are. Hear that noise? Oh, that's the vacuum cleaner. Alright, let's start cutting into this guy. We'll see how he comes out. Dremel on. There we go. Okay, I guess we'll start by getting that face. For some reason, at this point, we have lost audio. I don't know if my mic shorted out or if it's just too much noise overpowering the mic. But we're starting to cut the face in on the Grinch. Actually, I think it's the back of the head. We'll give a little Grinch. They're all rounded out now. It's the front. Okay, from what I could see from the pictures of Grinch, the face is shaped like a heart. So we have to bring both sides down evenly to that triangle shape. And that's what we're doing here. We're just bringing out, we're just hogging off material and getting it down to that almost point that the face comes to on a Grinch. It does, you want your center lines. Make sure as you're making that wedge shape that you're taking the same amount off both sides. So as any other carving, and I always say, you always want your center lines. Center lines, center lines. Put them down the front, put them down the sides, put them down the back, put them across the top, across the bottom. The little bit of time it takes to put them in will save you immensely, and it helps you keep everything asymmetrical. So both sides are kind of looking the same. You know, it's just carving. We're not doing rocket science here. As long as the eye sees you know, that it's pretty symmetrical, we're good to go. So we're just carving away, carving away, carving away, carving away, carving away. Don't you have anything else to talk about? You know, I'm going to turn you around and hang you backwards up there. Oh. Yeah, oh. Be quiet. Grinch, Grinch, Grinch. That guy, that Grinch I carved yesterday, he's just mouthy. You just can't keep him quiet. He's always running his face over there. I can't imagine what it's going to be like in here with two of them. This one, I don't think we're going to hang. I think we're going to use it for a shelf Grinch. I got big plans for this shelf Grinch. At this point in carving, though, he was going to be an ornament you hung on a tree. And he could still be an ornament that you hang on a tree. Give you a little overview of what's going to go on here. Is as we carve through this, we will see the face start coming out. Carving the mouth in right now. And most of these cuts will be gone. Basically, they're just placeholders. And you'll have to do that as you carve along. you're going to have to, make the decision where your nose is going to be, where your eyes are going to be, the shape of your head, how big you want your head, how big you want your hat. So think of this stuff like when I first cut this out on the bandsaw, all them bandsaw marks in there was placement holders for the chin and the lip and the nose and the forehead and where the hat is. But as you can see, as we're carving away here, those lines are disappearing pretty quickly. So as we move through this, we have to keep re-establishing them. Keep putting them back in so you know where you are. Because believe me, a slip of this thing with this extreme bit and you will lose your lines. And then you'll be like, uh-oh, where am I? And unlike the Grinches around here that talk, this one ain't going to tell you what to do. So, yep. And I use a fairly light touch with the Dremel. See? There's the mouth. That will change over and over again. And the bottom part there is the lip. And then we have to, because that Grinch head is kind of heart-shaped, it has those traditional flares, almost like alligator jaws on it. So we got to get in there and cut them in too. And I still do not know what happened to the mic on this. Of course, I'm oblivious in this video. I don't know. I can't hear. It isn't like you get feedback through the headphones on the mic. Maybe it came unplugged a little bit. I don't know. I'm hoping that the rest of the video, because this was, this is made in segments and then all put together. I'm hoping that some of the rest of it is got the sound, because I tell some pretty funny jokes in this thing about this Grinch, but we'll never know. So we're just working away, cutting that bottom jaw in. And believe me, you're not missing anything. All that racket. I'm glad I had the earphones in. So it's just work, carve. There we go. Getting up underneath that chin. Getting it pushed back. To get my beginning lines, I found a pretty decent side view of a Grinch. I shrunk it down and glued it to the side and took it to my bandsaw and roughed it out. And what I was saying there was, gotta keep pushing back. You gotta stay on your center line. You want to keep it even. See? It's almost like I was there. Huh. And now I'm showing you where the rough on the hat will be. And that hat will get recut like 10 times before we're done. Because it's, like I said, you're just putting marks in it as placement holders. So you know where your hat's going to go and all that good stuff. And now I'm transferring the, I don't know if it's his jaw or what it is, but that big puffy thing, that Grinch, heart-shaped Grinch head is what we're looking at here. So we're drawing it in on the other side. There it is. Yep. And we're marking the hat in. And then I use because the bottom of the wood has only been cut straight on the bandsaw, we'll use that to mark out the other side by using the pencil. The pencil they got just sucked up in the dust collector, as a matter of fact. So we have to take that face down so that those little cheeky things there that I'm pointing at with the pencil pop out the way we want them, because we're dealing with, you know, flat wood. So everything's got to be re-angled and redefined. And I'm just using the one that's on the sticker as a measurement for the other side. And basically you're just drawing like a little square box, and then go ahead and loop it in there. And then we'll just kind of rough it in with your pencil, and then you're going to rough it in with your dremel, and then you're going to constantly reshape it till you get them both the same size, and so they're looking correct. It's kind of like when you do ears. You always start with your ears. You always make them big. Always make your ears bigger than what you want, because unless you're really good, and I'm not with ears, yeah, if they're bigger, you can always kind of bring them down to make them look the same size. But don't get into that deal where it's like sawing the legs off a table to make it sit level. You take a little too much off this one, then you go cut the other one. Before you know it, your table's only a foot off the floor and it still wobbles. So you just want to kind of, as long as it looks close to by eye, you're good. You know, we don't have a real tight tolerance on these things. Yep, you want to bring that face down to almost to a point in the front. But now remember, as you're doing that, you still got to have the straight sides on the head for to put your eyes. If you bring everything to a point, the whole thing to a point, then you're going to have problems getting the eyes and stuff in there. So, you know, it's just like carving any other head, even this fictional one. You got to keep in mind, you want to be one step ahead of where you are. And right now we're just trying to cut them cheeks in, getting them rounded in there, and then we're shaping it back. And man, I should have pushed that forward. What happened? Did the camera move? I'm sorry. Yep, I think the camera might have moved on me. Something moved. I should have moved myself. There we go. Back in frame. Aha, see, the camera did move. I'm getting pretty good at looking up at that every once in a while to make sure that things stay in frame. I did a video on a Santa Claus head, and it was terrible. Terrible, I tell you. None of it was in frame. The camera slipped on me, and I just carve and carve, you know, just carve, Rob, just carving. And I was carving away, and then I looked up, and before I knew it, I was done with the part. I went to upload the video, and it's like, this is crap. So I think I had the video up for a day, and then I took it down. It was that terrible. I don't know what's worse, the noise of the machines or the dead silence of nothing. It looks like that camera, it looks like it's slipping there or something, jumping every once in a while. Huh. Okay. We're going along here. And we're cutting, I think we're working on the cheeks now. Working on getting those cheeks in. Yep, that's what we're doing. We're undercutting the cheeks right there. Or whatever they are. Jaw, cheeks. I don't know what to really call them. So at this point, I'm kind of wondering to myself, is this going to look like a Grinch? Or is it going to look like a lizard? I wasn't quite sure. But then again, you're never quite sure when you're first starting out on something like this. Because, I mean, you're going from a square block of wood saying, what is going on here? But you just got to push through. Yep, see how that face is getting pointier and pointier? You know, you want to hold it back and look at it too, because you want to try keeping things on the same plane. You know, you want to try keeping your sides symmetrical. But now you see that, keep them symmetrical. But we got to get those cheeks or jaws to pop out there, because that's what makes the whole Grinch, right? He's got the big heart-shaped jaws on him. So we're taking her down quick now. We're getting the face all pointy. And it's starting to look more and more like a lizard. Yep, just keep working it down. I can't believe that microphone went south on me. Well, although you got that kind of RF noise banging around, it's easy to blow up microphones and speakers and things like that. You get beyond their volume capacity, should we say, and you'll get a crackle and a pop, and that'll be it. Now you can see we're taking that face down to the point that it's starting to make those cheeks pop out. And remember, when you're carving a Grinch, that face is kind of heart-shaped, so you want to keep that idea in your mind as you're working on it, if you're going to work on it. These videos on this Grinch are going to be long. I got a feeling. So we're going to have to put them up in pieces so we don't spend 3 years uploading the video to YouTube. My internet is kind of crappy, so it takes forever. It takes, like, for me to download a video that's 20 minutes long will take like 4 hours. Yeah, my internet is that bad. Now we're rounding the back of the head off. Now you can see the cheeks are starting to pop out there. And we just got to keep working them sides down. And I think at that point I'm recutting the mouth back in again. Because I don't want to get those cheeks so too small where the mouth is overtaking the cheek, should we say. Which I know what happens, but you do not. So I think we're at like 18 minutes on this video already. Wow. Time flies when you're carving. I lose track of time all the time carving. Okay. Yep. Got that cheek. Cheeks are getting cut in pretty good there. Taking some more out. And this is just what I think a 3D Grinch would look like. It's my concept anyway of what he would look like if he was in 3 dimensions instead of 2. And basically I just kind of studied pictures out of the movie as far as, you know, what the side view was, what the front view was. They get away with a lot more with a pencil than I can with a Dremel. So now we're on the back side. We're rounding the back of the head up. Because if you look at the pictures of a Grinch, his head, his mouth is like way out there, and then his head, he's kind of got a big back of his head too. So we're trying to splice the different types of pictures that we've seen of the Grinch into a 3D Grinch, which used to have to do when we were making patterns for cars, the patterns for the parts for boats or whatever. You have to take the 3D. Basically, back then we didn't have 3D printers. We had a chisel, a hammer, and a grinder. and you try to design the part, and then of course it would get cast into they'd make a fiber, you take it and put it in sand and then make an aluminum mold of it, or fiberglass mold of it. Depends on what industry you were in. But here we are working that head in, getting them cheeks to pop out. I know Jordy, that guy over there at Carbon Fusion, he can pop out one of them wood spirits in about 20 minutes done. And here I am at 20 minutes, and you can't even tell what it is I'm carving, other than what I'm telling you it is. And we're still going, still carving, working on them cheeks. And you'll see me stop and look at this, and whenever I take a break, get some coffee or whatever, I always set it in front of me and look at it, because you need to actually, as you're carving, you need to step back away from what you're carving and look at it and say, okay, is it symmetrical? Is it good enough? Where do I need to do more work? And don't be afraid to pick up that pencil, and if you're like, hey, I need more off this side, take a pencil and shade it so that you know that you need more off that side. Because you get carving on one side of a face, and you can lose perception of what's going on with the other side of the face. So you gotta just take a break and take a look at it, and make some decisions on whether you need to take more off, or if it's good enough. And I always work my way around. I never stay on one particular section, should we say. You just got to kind of hop around and get everything roughed in, and then you can go back and do your finished carving. Like that hat, the Santa Claus hat there. It gets to a point where I have to stop working on the head, because the hat is so big. Because the hat is actually the size of the wood. So I have to stop and say, okay, now I got to start working on the hat, start shaping that hat to get it down out of my way so I can work more on the head. So you have to bounce back and forth, and just keep working all over the place, and take your time and take a look at it. And it's like, okay, that's good enough. Now we'll move on to this part, and we'll move on to that part. And it keeps you interested in it too. So you're not just stuck working on like them cheeks constantly. So I went around the back and up into the front of the face, and now I'm back on the cheeks again. Because that's all going to change as you progress, as you're moving along. It's the only bad thing about working on square blocks of wood, is you can draw your pattern on, or you can glue a pattern on, but it's still you got to see it in your head, in your mind's eye, of what you want. You got to convince that wood to give it up. And then again, there's been projects I started and the wood was fighting me, and you're like, hey, this looks like that, or this looks like that. It's like, so you'll be right in the middle of carving a project, and it takes a different form than what you were expecting. Just go with it. Sometimes the wood tells you what it wants to be. And then again, sometimes it won't say nothing to you. And you just end up having a Fire Friday like I do. You end up with a couple pieces, and you're like, well, we're having a bonfire. The sacrificial carving must be sacrificed. So you throw it in. Poof. Okay, there he is. We're starting to get those cheeks popped out. We kind of got that mouth roughed in. Working that jawline down a little bit. And I think this is where we're going to say I'm going to do some carving off camera, and I'll be right back.